Right, we're going to talk about the Duke of York now, because King Charles has decided to axe his security team. This is according to reports that emerged over the weekend.
Prince Andrew's security has been funded privately by Charles after he lost his publicly funded police protection in 2022.
But is it time that we actually stop paying for royal security full stop? Is it right that taxpayers fund the security of everyone from Queen Camilla to Prince William?
Well, joining us now is royal journalist Sarah Robertson.
Good morning, Sarah. How are you?
Morning.
What do you make of all of this? Because there's lots of commentary that perhaps Prince Andrew having his security removed is sort of a first step towards trying to get him out of Royal Lodge, because he needs all of this security for his 90-acre estate in Windsor.
Yes, well, I mean, that's what King Charles is hoping to try and do, is to sort of try and subtly strong-arm him out of Royal Lodge and into another property, which happens to be Harry and Meghan's old house, Frogmore Cottage, on the estate. But Prince Andrew is going nowhere so far. He's resisting, shall we say, any attempts by the King to actually go of his own accord. He says he signed a lease. He says the lease is cast iron, and that's where he's staying. So the King says, OK, you know, he's taken away his security. He believes he doesn't need to have this round-the-clock 24-hour protection, which Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, right now does have. And this is part as well of the King sort of stripping back. So the only security really that the taxpayer should be paying for, the King believes, is just himself, Queen Camilla, and the Prince and Princess of Wales, because obviously they are the heirs apparent, and that's how it will be. Other working royals do get security paid for them when they are working. So Princess Anne doesn't get security round the clock privately, but when she is working, and she is the most hard-working royal, as we all know, she then does benefit from security when she's actually on an official working visit. But the other members of the royal family, you know, as I say, the Prince and Princess of Wales, the King and Queen, they do receive 24/7 security, as they should, because given the nature, the high profile of their roles and the inherent risk that does carry. And you can't always guarantee that people aren't going to have malign intent. And we've seen, obviously, with the Queen, when people broke into Buckingham Palace and Trude ended up in the Queen's bedroom. I'm not quite sure what happened with the security there, but nevertheless, you know, they are at risk by the very nature of who they are and the huge role that they carry around the world.
But they are billionaires, aren't they? I mean, they could afford... Isn't Prince William a billionaire? He could afford his own security. Is there a legitimate question about whether or not the British taxpayer should be... The only reason I ask is because, you know, you look at what Harry and Meghan are up to. They've just been to Colombia, presumably footed the bill themselves, or maybe Colombia did.
No, I think Colombia invited them.
OK.
They didn't pay for that. They need to keep their coffers. They've got so much legal action going on. So,
I would just like to say on that note, Isabel and Anna, they ended up, well, Prince Harry, shall I say, ended up costing us, the taxpayer, over $1 million in Home Office legal fees with that silly case that he brought, demanding that we do pay for police protection for him. So, I mean, he's not a good example. But in terms of what they cost us, look, the actual figure in terms of their security never gets disclosed, as I say, and that is for their protection, and that's a decision that the Home Office has taken. But if a rough estimate is believed to be around between about £1.50 to maybe up to £50 per year per taxpayer, but that is not official figures. That's just speculated figures. So I just want to really sort of reiterate that is speculated. But do they deserve it? Yes, of course they do. It's the King, and they generate, I mean, 80% of the income that they generate goes back into our coffers, goes back into the Treasury, and then they're paid a sovereign grant out of that. They also have paid income tax since the 90s. So we can't begrudge them, given the mammoth role, the fact that, you know, King Charles is our head of state, and we are in a constitutional monarchy. We cannot begrudge them this. It's of vital importance. Do people begrudge that the Prime Minister has security 24/7?
A little.
No. Well, maybe depending on who the Prime Minister is. Like I understand, obviously, you know, what your preferences are. But I think we have to be realistic about this. The King himself and Prince William and Princess Catherine, they do deserve to have security. It's of utmost paramount.
Okay.
Well, what am I trying to say?
I know what you mean.
Importance.
Importance, yeah.
They are protected at all times. It really
All right.
is.
The Duke and Duchess of Sussex, they've just finished their tour of Colombia.
Now, they've been travelling around the South American nation. The Duchess of Sussex said that the couple's daughter, Lilibet, has finally found her voice at the age of 3.
Well, speaking at a panel event, Meghan said she was so proud that her daughter feels empowered.
Well, joining us now is GBNews royal correspondent Cameron Walker. Cameron, thank you very much for joining us. Good morning to you. So how successful, on a scale of 1 to 10, did that trip to Colombia appear to be?
Well, Nana, I think it depends who you ask, to be honest. I mean, usually at this point for a foreign royal tour, I would be giving you the highlights and the lowlights, and then you guys probably make up your mind. To be honest, I'm finding it quite difficult to do that. The reason being is there was very limited independent coverage of the trip. There was one pool journalist, what we call a pool journalist, permitted to cover the royal couple on their visit, and then that kind of information would be shared with all the other journalists, which perhaps is to be expected. But it was very brief. There wasn't much in the way of independence, perhaps, and also the videos and the photographs we were getting from the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's team were very glossy. Meghan looked amazing. Harry looked amazing as well. All smiles, all lovely. But all the footage, as you might be able to hear, or not hear, I should say, was mute. So you couldn't hear a lot about what Prince Harry or indeed Meghan was saying, and it was all very edited. But given that, of course, it is their right, because they are no longer working members of the royal family, so they can do a royal tour, or not royal tour, whichever way you want to look at it, as they please. If they don't want to share all the footage with us, so be it. However, the question then is, what is their aim? And arguably the biggest news line for the whole 4-day tour was Prince Harry appearing to weigh in on the UK riots, where he says what happens online within a matter of minutes transfers to the streets. That is referring, of course, to online misinformation, a key theme of their trip. But that quote was picked up by another camera. It wasn't picked up by Harry and Meghan's camera, and it certainly wasn't included in the pool copy from the journalist accredited to cover their trip. But of course, I think that was probably one of their biggest successes for highlighting the dangers of online misinformation. They've visited several schools. You can see them visiting one of the schools here on your screens, talking about the dangers of online misinformation when it comes to children. They also had their own research from Archworld, their foundation as well, talking about the use of social media in Latin America. More people are using social media more than the global average. But I asked for details on that particular research and was not given it. So make of that what you will. But as you said in your link there, Meghan also attended an Afro-Women panel where she talks about female empowerment, another huge theme of the trip, talking about her daughter, Princess Lilibet, finding her voice, and also said that it's up to the men, up to young boys to be taught to listen to women as well. So perhaps another key theme for that. And Prince Harry got an Invictus engagement into his military veterans Paralympic-style competition.
I also want to ask you about a report that I've seen in a couple of the papers this morning that Prince William would not want Harry at his coronation. Now, they're just reports and there's no named source. But given the fact that Prince William has been focusing so much on his father, who's been ill, his wife, who's been ill, looking after his kids, that might not come as a huge surprise. And obviously, there's no imminent coronation. But it seems to be, there's no reconciliation on the horizon between the brothers.
Yeah, this was a friend of Prince William reportedly speaking to the Sunday Times yesterday, because Prince Harry turns 40 years old in a couple of weeks. And a key theme of that particular article was that there is really not much of a relationship between Prince William and Harry. I mean, I know whenever I speak to people close to Prince William, the barriers go up when I mention his brother, the Duke of Sussex. They're not on speaking terms. It's understood the last time they did speak was at the Queen's funeral back in September 2022. And then, albeit it was very, very brief indeed. And as you say, Isabel, I think this is just a sense of Prince William having other priorities. The King is still receiving cancer treatment. The Princess of Wales, very similar situation. He has 3 young children to think about. He's the heir to the throne. To be honest, Prince Harry's just not a priority for him, which perhaps is very sad. But I suppose we'll just have to wait and see if time plays a part in any kind of reconciliation between the 2 brothers.
OK.
All right, Cameron Walker, thank you very much. Really good to talk to you. Yeah. What are your thoughts on this? Meghan Markle, Prince Harry?
I would say I totally understand why William and Kate have distanced themselves. That's all I would put in there, really. I'd probably do the same, given what's happened. And I also find it a bit strange, as Chris Akabusi was saying, a couple who wanted to get away, to live away from the scrutiny of the cameras, then doing so much on camera.
It's terrible, isn't it?
Doesn't really add up. I don't understand what their problem was with the royal family.